It's a mean age. But it is going to be a beautiful future as long as we don't f*** it up. I'm Brian McWilliams, and this is Mean Age Daydream, where I bring you unfiltered comedy, criticism, philosophy, and politics with a Mean Age Daydream. What is happening, everybody? Welcome to Mean Age Daydream. I am, of course, Brian McWilliams, the one and the only, and I'm joined today by a buddy of mine. He is an attorney, practicing attorney. He is a writer for Breitbart.com, and he is a recording artist. Patriot J, welcome to the Mean Age Daydream, my friend.
What up, Brian? Thank you for having me.
Of course, and it was great seeing you guys the other night over at Adam Choi's comedy show. We rolled out there. Chrissy Mayer was up there slaying it, and good catching up with you guys. And you know what? A perfect segue from talking about comedy to the first topic today, because I wanted to have you on. Primarily, we were talking about the Scott Adams thing, and I'm going to get to that, right? Because we got to break that down. But I don't know if you saw that Woody Harrelson had a monologue on SNL that's getting some attention from the weekend.
The anti-vax monologue.
Yeah, man. Here, let me play it real quick in case people didn't hear it. I got it queued up for us so we could give them a little taste of the most pertinent part, because it's just like amazing watching the reactions from some of these people on the left. All right, so here we go. Here is the video. Let me play it real quick.
Hey, so the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes, and people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea?
All right, so there you go. Right, there you have it. What, did you catch it live? I mean, I don't watch SNL anymore. I doubt you do.
Nah, I didn't watch it live, but so they uploaded the full monologue on Twitter, and I watched it, and I saw people were outraged, so I said, okay, let me watch it. And I feel like it was, there was like a really long lead up, because he was like referencing standing in Central Park, and I didn't really catch where he was going. And then I heard the last part, and I said, oh, okay, I get it. But I had to just watch that last part by itself to fully understand it. But it was pretty good. I like anything that pisses off the vaccinators. So.
Oh, totally, man. Well, it's like, it was interesting. This came at a perfect time, because obviously, you know, we all live in LA, and we're surrounded by leftists. You know, we're surrounded by these people that are, you know, entertainment industry leftists, which are some of the worst. You know, they had the COVID measures in place. I think they still do on a lot of film sets, and like I know like advertising industry sets they're shooting on, they still all masked up, even though we know it doesn't do anything. But seeing these people who are just like defending, because I was just having this big back and forth with my lefty friends about Saturday Night Live, and they're saying how funny it is. Oh, it's so great. And I'm like, you guys are on crack. There's no way. This show's terrible. It's been terrible for 20 years. It's just, you know, garbage. And then, you know, to have Woody Harrelson come out there and just, you know, put their dicks in the dirt with the vaccination stuff was funny. But I don't know if you saw.
I thought it was great. Well, I thought it was great, because the entire week they were like, yeah, Woody Harrelson, 5-timers club. Like, I guess it was his it was his 5th time hosting, and he's going to come back and drop that bomb. Right.
No 6th for you, Woody. You know, what cracked me up too was seeing people. They ran these mental gymnastics around how the monologue, basically to not give him any credit for dropping that at the end. And I thought the context of it, you know, putting it in like, you would never believe this script if it was written.
Right.
Like, it's so movie villain-esque. It's like almost too cliche to believe in the context. Yeah. But all these people I saw, you know, people I was talking to, they were like, oh, the monologue wasn't that good. It was rambling and all over. Like, they're trying to dismiss it as though he's just being goofy. He doesn't even know what he's talking about, because it's so out of balance for them to think about it.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll see. I'm curious to see if this goes a step farther. Like, where are you as far as, are you white-pilled or black-pilled on where we're at with COVID? Do you think people are waking up, or do you think there's some reaching?
I'm white-pilled right now. I feel like the peak lockdowns, especially in California, it was so bad that it forced a lot of people to wake up. So I think people are now kind of generally aware that the government isn't always there to do good. So I think that's better. Having gone through that and having woken up thousands or maybe millions of people, I think we're in a better place now than where we were before COVID. Because going into COVID, looking at everybody, they just blindly accepted everything. It was a bit depressing for me. I thought that was going to be the end. I was like, all right, fuck it, new world order. This is here. This is how we go down. But then I started to see people push back, so that gave me a bit of hope for the future.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like, and one thing too, we'll talk about. We'll finish up with the Scott Adams stuff. We'll get into it in a minute. Into like this new U.S. Department of Energy basically saying, yeah, we tentatively agree with the lab leak theory for COVID and how Fauci covered it up. But there seems to be a slow dripping of truth coming out, of people being won over, not just, as you said, by the lockdowns and the effect it had, but now looking at, the masks don't work. These studies coming out saying explicitly, we did this for nothing. The damage we're seeing now with kids, the excess death rates, the myocarditis in kids that has gone up, it's 4 times, or actually I think it's like 25 times what it usually is. That is, I think, getting through to people. And now when you see someone like this with Woody Harrelson talking about it, like basically, I think the fact that he's got the balls to bring it up on SNL,
right,
and be like, I'm just going to say it, and come after me, try to cancel me if you will, but having the balls to say it, you just didn't see before.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost to where the point where it's like it's okay to criticize the vax hysteria. And then even I guess normies who are vaxxed, they're still like, well, it's 2023 now. COVID was 3 years ago. Do we really need mandates? Do we really need lockdowns? I'm vaccinated. Who cares if they're not?
Right. Yeah. By the way, do you think Gavin Newsom is going to allow the Emergencies Act and for California, the emergency pandemic, whatever it's called, to expire? Because it's supposed to expire at the end of the month.
Oh, no, he's definitely gonna. he's probably gonna kick it over until he's out of office and running for president.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, Biden extended the what was it, like 3 months his pandemic response. Bunch of bullshit. Unbelievable. Well, anyway, all right. So let's talk a little bit then. Let's pivot over to talk about the news that came out about the U.S. Energy Department, which I was confused why the U.S. Energy Department is reviewing the COVID lab leak. Why?
Right.
Don't you people have better things to do? Like, our failing power grids, or trying to figure out ways to get us off fossil fuels, which is never going to happen. But it's interesting to see now, because you had the FBI say, okay, we think that the lab leak theory is the most probable. I guess the Energy Department's, after reading the documents or the report that came out, they said with low confidence. But what's your feeling on that? Are they just saying that because they have to say low confidence to, kind of be politically, wishy-washy so that they don't get slapped?
I think they're just saying it to say that. I feel like they know that that's true, but they're not going to put it out there as this is 100% proven. So they got to add low confidence, but that's still their conclusion. So that means something in itself.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see if you're going to see a cascade of other agencies that are reviewing it and come out on the side of this thing. I mean, it honestly it almost reminds me of the Mueller report a little bit, in that you expect this report to come out and vindicate the people that said the lab leak theory was insane, and then it's like, no.
Yeah. And that's also crazy because, like, immediately after COVID hit, people were saying this leak from a lab. Here we are 3 years later. Now we have somewhat confirmation. It's just proof that the truth is a right-wing conspiracy theory before it becomes the truth.
Yeah, I know, dude. Exactly. It's so funny. I mean, there's, even around the what was it, Damar Hamlin, when Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field for the Bills, and immediately, people probably like you and I are like, this kind of looks like myocarditis here.
Right.
And people are like, that's crazy. And then you see, like, the conspiracy theories since 2019 are 52 and 0 being accurate.
Right. On the Damar Hamlin thing, I don't know if you saw it, he did like his interview with Michael Strahan afterwards. Yeah. And Michael asked him like, hey, so what actually happened to you? And he was like, I don't want to talk about that.
That's like, I would have been funny. I'm going through a tunnel, Mike. I can't hear you.
Right. You're breaking up.
Well, I'm sitting right across from you. I can't hear you. Um, but yeah, man, it's like
Earpiece.
the censorship around the lab leak there, because Fauci, obviously, we have the email record of him and the other guy who's working with this Eco Alliance project that was working with Wuhan Labs, specifically telling them to try to tamp down the lab leak theory. And now it's being confirmed. And it's like, how many people got deplatformed for this? Because we know that was something on social media that's being censored too.
Yep. People lost their livelihoods because they were speaking out for the truth. And now 3 years later, it's just like, I told you so.
Yeah, exactly, man. We know. I saw this.
I just think about all the time we lost in between now and then. Like, if we knew 3 years ago that the lab leak theory was credible, we could have taken action on it, maybe sanctioned China or something. But now here we are 3 years later with our hands in our pants, not doing anything.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was looking at some guy. There's some guy that just declared he's running for president, and he's on the right wing side. He's like an Indian guy.
That Vivek Ramaswamy. Yep.
Yes, thank you. I saw he had posted about, how now that we have this, we should go after China, and it was an odd thing because he was saying we should leverage our debt to go after him, and I'm like, what? I mean, the only way you could leverage the U.S. debt, and this is what Gene Epstein pointed out, would be by threatening to default on the debt, which doesn't seem like it'd be a good thing for us. I don't know.
Right.
How are you going to strong arm? I mean, you could try to sue them, I guess, and try to reclaim something, but I just don't see how that's really going to come about,
Yeah, I don't either. I've seen little bits of stuff from Vivek's campaign, and it seems promising. What I don't like is that people are saying, like, he's like Trump without the controversy. But the controversy is what makes Trump. Like, Trump's fun because he's Trump. I don't want Trump light. I want Trump.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, have you been looking? I'm sure you have been. But about, Trump seems to be just on he's trying to kill DeSantis off, before he even runs. Like, he's just all the time attacking DeSantis, man. I mean, what do you think about that?
It's crazy. I don't know, man. Like, so a lot of I guess there's like Trump supporters who used to be Trump supporters and now they're leaning towards Ron. They're like, yeah, Trump's pissing me off. But I mean, I guess it makes sense from a strategic standpoint because DeSantis has consistently polled as the number 2 to Trump. So you're going to want to talk shit about the next guy and then if it's not DeSantis, who else is going to beat him? Fucking Nikki Haley, Vivek.
No
these people don't stand real chances. So it's smart that he's going after his only competition. I just think it's a little bit too premature since he hasn't even announced he's running. I don't know if he'll even announce that he'll run. It seems so forced. Everybody's talking about DeSantis 24, and DeSantis, meanwhile, is just not speaking on it. And I'm sure that's good for him too. But I think I feel like he would be better suited as governor, and I feel like he enjoys that position. I don't know if he's ready to give that up yet because he's one of the most beloved governors in the country. Like you can easily let Trump take the next 4 years and then come after Trump and say DeSantis 2028, and he would have it in a landslide.
See, that's what I always think about. It kind of reminds me of when college football players, like you'll have the quarterback and he wins the title, and then he's like, I want to stay at school. I'm not done banging cheerleaders. And then he tears his ACL, right? And now it's like, oh, now you're a 5th round pick. So that's what I'm wondering with DeSantis. If he's like, man, the iron is hot right now coming off. Like if he waits, he might not have that shot again. Because I mean, so much could happen in 6 years, So it's just like, it's so unpredictable. We could be in World War III, by then. Right.
I'm if curious. It's Trump versus DeSantis in a primary, I don't think DeSantis beats Donald Trump.
I don't know, man. I don't know if he has enough. Like, there are so many people that are still really, really big Trump supporters. I don't know either. And the problem is, it's like it would be an ugly battle. Like it would be a damaging battle. It would be entertaining as hell. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it'd be really fun to watch. Because DeSantis is pretty quick and Trump's pretty quick. But yeah, I don't know, man. I kind of side with you. I don't think DeSantis is going to run. But to his credit, I do think it's smart that he's not saying anything because Trump is keeping him in the news cycle anyway. He doesn't have to say anything.
Right. And that only gives him more attention. And I know DeSantis is on a book tour right now, and he said he's going to make a decision about 2024 after Florida's legislative session, which is from like March to May. So they've got I think a super majority Republican legislature. So he's just going to go stack up those wins this legislative season. And then he might take him and go on a primary, but I don't know. I just feel like Trump's allure attracts more people than DeSantis. DeSantis is kind of like the old school GOP, like Reagan, Bush era. Like those people love him. But Trump gets the crossover voters. Trump gets the people who want to see the establishment burn. I don't think DeSantis has that draw.
No, that's a good point. I just worry that, after the midterms where Trump's people like in contested regions didn't do well. And I'm just wondering if people like, he lost to Joe Biden and who knows, mail-in voting and all that stuff, but he lost to Joe Biden.
Right.
And I just wonder if he's turned so many people off now that it would be harder for him to run and that somebody else would do better against Biden or, presuming somebody, I don't think Joe Biden's going to be up there, but whoever the Democrats decide to run, I just don't know now if he's crossed the Rubicon into like, we just will vote for anybody but Trump. That's my concern going up against, the evil of the progressives.
That's true. That's true. Because it was mostly for Biden. He's not Trump.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that was the only thing. He didn't even campaign. The guy sat in his basement, this doddering doofus. You've got Kamala out there, cackling like a maniac and just making no sense, and they still won. So, I mean, unless he's got some really dynamic pairing, with a VP that's just a firebrand and, maybe can help even that out. But I don't know who that'd be right now. I mean, Rand Paul tried to get the libertarians on board. Trump and Rand became fairly close. So
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, by the way, so here we'll transition. I'll bring one thing about DeSantis because I was shocked how dishonest the mainstream media was. And I think it was an NBC story. I think it was Andrea Mitchell asking Kamala Harris her thoughts on DeSantis saying that you couldn't teach slavery in Florida schools. Did you hear about this? This ridiculous.
I didn't hear. I've heard that there's some sort of controversy with DeSantis and black schooling, but I don't know exactly what's going on.
So I'll fill you in. Basically, what happened is that there was an AP class that was like AP Black History or something like that, and I actually did it. I read through some of the things. I can't remember if it was on my bonus show or on this main show. But to recap some of the points, DeSantis has said, "Look, I'm not going to let like CRT and this like Marxist ideology come in masquerading as Black history," and that's really what it was. Because you look through all these sightings, and it was like Marxist texts, so like uber feminist text, uber just like and again 1619 project stuff. Yeah, so it was really CRT masquerading as history. And then after he said, look, we're not going to do it, the AP actually went back and they redid the course. So I mean, if it was something where they really believed that what they were teaching was honest to God Black history as it should be taught,
right,
then you're like, okay, we'll fall on this sword, man. We're not going to change the course because of you, but they backed off.
Yeah, dude, I think that reminds me in college. It was my first semester in college. I took an Africana Studies English course, but looking back at it, it was essentially CRT, and I feel like they tried to implement this into the Black teachings because people aren't going to question it. People don't have the balls like DeSantis did to say, hey, I don't care if you call it African-American history, that's not Black history. And so in that CRT light course, we were taught to pretty much hate America. There was like, we were reading like feminist works, bell hooks, and it was all about taking down the white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchal society that is America. And looking back at it, that doesn't have shit to do with Black people. We didn't study all Black authors. We studied the Black revolutionaries and the Black communists, but it's clearly they're just using Black people to kind of scapegoat their ideology into the school system.
Yeah, exactly, man. All right, well, let's hit on Scott Adams now. I'm tempted. I was just thinking, I took a class. It was like, I'm trying to think exactly the name of the class at the Penn State, but it was a class about either Black culture or something regarding Black culture. And I remember the teacher asked us to write a rap. And of course, I'm just like a white guy in a fraternity, so I did a rap about my white fraternity lifestyle. And we had Black people in the fraternity, but I am white. And it was called Independence is Bitches. And very proud of it to this day. Fantastic. Got a D on it. She gave me a D.
That's good. That's bullshit.
Dude, I swear to God, I thought I had it downloaded somewhere. I was like, should I play it? Nah. I'll try to find it. Maybe I'll play it. Maybe I'll send it to you offline. Nice. So, okay, I've got Scott Adams queued up here. so we can listen. It's going to be about almost 3 minutes a clip. So just to let you guys know, but I think it's important that we listen to the whole thing through and then talk about it so people know exactly what he said. So we're not, misrepresenting him, because I don't agree with what he said, but I'm going to try to steel man it as much as I can to try to understand his point. And then we can kind of, we can go back and forth. So here's Scott Adams, and here is what he had to say.
So if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. That's a hate group. And I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the fuck away. Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no fixing this. This can't be fixed. Right? This can't be fixed. You just have to escape. So that's what I did. I went to a neighborhood where, I have a very low black population. Because unfortunately, there's a high correlation between the density. And this is according to Don Lemon, by the way. So here I'm just quoting Don Lemon when he notes that when he lived in a mostly black neighborhood, there were a bunch of problems that he didn't see in white neighborhoods. So even Don Lemon sees a big difference in your own quality of living based on where you live and who's there. So I think it makes...
Oops, sorry. Wait a minute. That was weird. I adjusted my
no
ear
sense
button to stop
whatsoever
playing.
as a white citizen of America to try to help black citizens anymore. It doesn't make sense. It's no longer a rational impulse. And so I'm gonna back off from being helpful to black America, because it doesn't seem like it pays off. Like, I've been doing it all my life, and the only outcome is I get called a racist. That's the only outcome. It makes no sense to help black Americans if you're white. It's over. Don't even think it's worth trying. Totally not trying.
All right, so we can cut it there. Yeah, there's a little bit more, but I'm just gonna cut off. So let's see. Wait, your initial thoughts.
I can't help but laugh at that, because it's just funny. The idea of Scott Adams telling white people to get the hell away from black people. It's good shit. But on a more serious point, I kind of understand the point he was making. To me, it seems like I'll just put it this way: if I saw a poll that said a little less than half of white people didn't think it was okay for black people to be black people, I might say, hey, black people, it might not be best to hang around those white people. So I get it, but the fact that he said it out loud is just crazy, especially in today's climate. But he did an hour and a half stream the day after with Hotep Jesus, and he kind of context a lot of the things, and it sounds like he wanted to get canceled. He said this was kind of his final act, he's basically retired now, and he just really wanted to have the conversation about race relations, which I think is good. These are conversations that we need to have without fear of being called racist. So kudos to Scott Adams for risking his livelihood for free speech. But what the fuck? I still can't believe he said it.
Yeah, man. I mean, and obviously Dilbert has been canceled in every single newspaper in the country. He had lost a lot of subscriptions earlier for other comments, but now it's fully gone. But yeah, man, like you said, there's something here where it's I understand that thinking. If you're going, okay, he's saying it's a hate group, right? If right. 48%, okay, that's a hate group because they don't think it's okay. But I mean, he's got a point in that if you don't think it's okay to be a skin color, well, that's ridiculous. It's insanity to say that, you're not permissible to have this as a group. I think where, I can get where he says, maybe you don't want to hang around with those people if they distinctly hate you. But I think where it breaks down for me so often is that we're just using this as a monolithic representation of all black people now. And how do you know who hates you and how do you know who doesn't hate you? And how is it going to help anything to simply divide and cut that off. I mean, if anything, you'd think if white flight now becomes a thing again, like it used to be, then it's just going to piss more people off. And now you're going to see that ratio go even higher of black people that don't have a fond opinion of white people because you've now taken it to them. And it seems like inevitably, if this is the tack, then it's going to lead to full out race war.
Right. That's a great point. And, I think it is the wrong message to tell people to flee because, racial tensions are here. And I feel like personally, one of the most effective ways we can relieve these tensions is just by holding conversations with each other. So a lot of the times, like white people in the South, they might be bigoted just because they don't know any fucking black people and they just see like a caricature that the media portrays. And it's the same with black people now. There are black people who are just around black people. They don't have many white friends. They're not exposed to the culture. So they just think it's foreign. And then with like the CRT and everything that's enforced through the media in school, of course, they kind of look at white people with the side eye. They might say, that's a little weird that you're white. But I think, it just comes down to educating one another and talking and having these discussions. I do think we can coexist peacefully. It's just going to take some hard work and tough discussions.
Well, I mean, that's what's amazing, right? Is that, so growing up, I'm obviously a lot older than you are. I'm 43. And when I was coming up in school, you have everything emphasized on ignore skin color, very MLK, view people as who they are. And that was the whole thing. Be colorblind, right? It's like that great song by En Vogue. Be colorblind. Don't be so shallow. Great song. So that was what I grew up with. And that's why, contextually I've lived my life. And now, you have these polls showing that race relations have gotten distinctly worse. I mean, much worse ever since this massive statewide or nationwide focus on race and quote unquote equity and healing and all this other stuff. But all it's done is made more divisions, made people hate each other more and be more skeptical and suspicious because, like you're talking about, the education aspect of it is fully focused on telling people just how badly, white people have done this and that and how, white people are to blame for everything. And, even through to like some of these, like there's a show called Proud Family. Have you heard of Proud Family on Disney? I mean,
yep.
My God, I saw the clips from that show. There's a whole thing just talking about how white people are colonizers. Like, this is a show for children, just teaching them to hate white people right off the bat. It's like, of course things are going to get worse. And this is why you have polls like this that are coming out where now it's not okay to be white.
Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. And the Proud Family situation is nuts because I used to watch that show like when I was a kid, and then they just came out with this reboot. And it's just so agenda driven, and it just feels like the perfect encapsulation of media today. They want to always include a gay person. They want to include some anti-white haters in there. It's all black and proud. And it's just like, I feel like that's not what the world looks like. A lot of people, if you go outside, they don't hate each other, but they want to force these narratives. That way we can start to feel like, maybe I shouldn't think it's okay for this guy to be white, or maybe he hates me just because I'm black.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what? And there's also, kind of circling back, something I was thinking about too is, you had this whole thing with, these whites, not necessarily all white, but there's people that do believe in self-segregation of races, right? If you like, Richard, what's his face, who was going, he's like, well, white people should live with white people. Kind of like Scott Adams saying, find your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And one thing people don't want to acknowledge is that there is going to be, unless you're grown up with every different color around you, there is going to be some uncomfortableness for people if they have grown up in a predominantly white, black, Asian neighborhood, just because you are more comfortable. It's like an inborn thing from back in the tribal days,
right.
With people that look like you. You just are. And unless you're trained to think differently or have that constantly, shaken up. And that's my problem now is that, talking about this, segregating, going to different neighborhoods, you're literally going to teach these people to continuously be uncomfortable. And I think as a culture, we now have gotten to the point where we're not only, uncomfortable because, yes, we are kind of separating because of these ideological battlegrounds that we're having, but also I think because the focus on race has become so much more difficult that now when you see somebody of a different race, you're automatically awkward and on eggshells because you don't want to offend them, or you're worried that they're like, as a white man, I'm like, all right, is every black guy going to hate me when I go up and talk to him? You know, like, I have to be extra, I have to be extra friendly, you know, which just probably comes across as creepy, you know, and black guys probably like, why is this white guy being so friendly and weird to me? And it's like that kind of thing. It's like, it just kind of snowballs from everything that's going on, I think.
Yeah, people are worrying about things that they shouldn't, because we're all humans at the end of the day, you know? And I think I fault the media for a lot of this, because they're the ones pushing these narratives. They're pushing division. And like, my biggest issue with like Black Lives Matter is that, okay, if you really want to tackle the issue of police brutality, why would you make it all about black people? Like, this happens to white people too. If you really wanted to get rid of that problem and not just intentionally stoke racial divisions, wouldn't it make sense for you to gather as much people behind you and say, and not call your organization Black Lives Matter, or maybe like police brutality sucks dick, something like that, you know? And it's just, I know that it was intentional on their part when they created that, and they don't really want to solve the issue. They don't want to see white people and black people get along. They just want more hate, because they get more hate, they get more dollars, their influence grows bigger, and Americans are left hating each other.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the intent of the media on creating divisive topics is something that I've thought a lot about. And I mean, for me, I think it's tactical on, you know, from the powers that be on down, personally, because when you've got so many topics, climate change, race, even the war in Ukraine, Trump, you know, all these things are designed to destroy, to tear apart foundational relationships, to give people nothing to have in common. When you think about that, if people have nothing in common to talk about, well, now they don't have any way to cross-check truth, right? They don't have any way to cross-check their reality and have somebody be like, dude, you're off your meds, thinking that the world is this way, that it is so full of hate. And to your point, that's the beautiful thing for the government, right? For the media, because the narratives they put out there are now the dominant narrative automatically, because everybody is so splintered into their own little tiny worlds.
Yeah. Polarization, man. We got to do something about it.
Amen. Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about today? Anything on top of your mind?
Nah, I don't think there's anything. I feel like, man, like working in politics, like writing every day for Breitbart, has kind of made me a little bit disillusioned, because I'm just like, I'm in it every day, you know? It's like, sometimes I just want to take a break. It used to be like politics was like a fun hobby, and now it's my job, and it's like, I'm clocking in for work every day.
Well, I got a tip for you.
I don't know. If I were to leave, go.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I have an easy tip. If you want to take a break, all you have to do is go on a diatribe about how black people and white people shouldn't get along. You'll get canceled from all your newspapers.
So true. So true. Here's my message to black people. Stay the hell away from white people.
Scott Adams, that shit.
They're going to clip that. I'm going to be canceled.
I love it. All right. So, yeah, sorry, man. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, if I had a final parting message, love your neighbor. It's biblical and it's true. You know, we need more love in our lives. People are hating. Hating's bad. Hating only hurts your own heart. You know, hating doesn't impact the next person. It only affects you. So if you choose to love, you'll be better off.
Yep. Love it, man. So tell everybody where they can find you, where they can hear you, where they can read you, all that good stuff.
You can find me. I'm most active on Twitter at Sir Hottest. You can go to my website, patriotj.com. It has links to all of my music. I only have one album out. I'm going to try to put out some more albums this year. I know my Patriot J heads out there are starving. I'm on Instagram. You can read my words in Breitbart News almost every day. If you need a criminal defense attorney in Los Angeles, give me a call. That's it.
All right, man. Love it. So, guys, thank you all for listening. Thank you to Patriot J. Good seeing you, buddy. We got to make sure to get some drinks real soon. And otherwise,
sir.
Guys, hell yeah. From me, Brian McWilliams, from the Lions of Liberty Network, and from me and Age, daydream. Keep those electric eyes on me, babe. And keep that ray gun in my head.